What's up, guys? Dr. Matt here, and today the exercises that we're going to be going through are known as the McGill Big 3. And these are super important for regaining, or if you've never had it, building stability in the core and the low back. Now, before we get into that, there are some terms that are really important to understand and some concepts that are important to understand. One is what's known as a flexion or extension intolerance. Many times when somebody's suffering from a low back injury, they're very intolerant of flexion in the spine. And what flexion is this, it's leaning forward, it's rounding forward. So that's extension and that's flexion. A lot of the times with a low back injury, extension is okay, not always, but more often than not, then flexion is okay. Most people cannot tolerate flexion when they're in pain. So we're going to talk about how to avoid that when we're doing these exercises. The other thing that's really important is when you injure your low back or injury of any kind, you're going to experience tightness and stiffness. So what a lot of people do is, let's say they hurt their low back, they're very tight, their hamstrings feel locked up, their low back feels locked up. What are we taught to do? 9 times out of 10, everyone gives the same answer. What's the first answer that came into your head? My guess is it was stretching. That's what I hear all the time. I need to stretch more. My low back hurts, I need to stretch. My shoulder hurts, I need to stretch. Most of the time, stiffness and tightness after an injury is not because the muscle is shortened and we need to force it by extending it. Many times it's a neurological reflexive thing that happens where, because of the injury, the body locks down the tissues in the area in order to prevent further damage. So by us forcing those tissues into a position that they don't want to be, not very good. So rather than doing all of this flexion and extending and forced stretching, we're going to talk about a few exercises, 3 exercises that you guys can do to work on rebuilding or building for the first time strength and stability in the core and the low back. So the first one that we're going to do is what's known as the modified crunch. And so what we're doing with this is you're going to lay flat on your back. One knee is going to be straight, one knee is going to be bent. It doesn't really matter. With all of these, breathing is going to be very important. So what you do is you take your hand, doesn't matter which one, you put it under the low back. The reason why you're doing it is because you naturally have a curve in the low back. And if you don't have anything supporting it and you go to sit up or crunch, your low back goes into flexion and presses against the floor. Not bad for a lot of people if they're healthy, but when you're dealing with an injury, your body doesn't usually like that. So you take your arm or your hand, you put it underneath the low back, so that way it supports that curve. Then what you're gonna do, the other hand is gonna go right on your abdomen. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a light breath in, you're gonna brace. So right now, if you went and touched here, my core, my abdomen and my core is tightened, but I'm still able to talk and breathe while I have it flexed. So then right there, we breathe, brace, it's braced. And then from here, we lightly lift up the shoulders. And you're just gonna hold it here for about 8 to 10 seconds. So I'm keeping it contracted while I'm breathing the whole time. So breathing in, while I'm maintaining that stability. That's very important. So then you relax and then you do it again, 8 to 10 seconds, and you can do that anywhere from 6 to 10 times. Then the next one is gonna be the side plank. So the side plank, you can do it with your arm or you can do it on your elbow. This is usually easier for most people. Then what you do is the first level that you do is it's from your knees. So you're here and then you just lift your hips up, but same thing, breath in, brace, and then lift and breathe while you keep that braced the whole time. And you can even put your hand here so that way you can feel that you're breathing into your stomach, but not letting your stomach move in and out. You want to maintain that core stability. Once you feel good doing it from your knees, then you can extend your legs and lift just like this, breathing, but bracing at the same time. You're gonna do that on both sides. Then the last one that you're gonna do is the quadruped. So with this one, same thing. Breathe in, brace, and then make a fist with your hand and extend out. So you're not thinking this. You're not thinking lift up. I want you to think extending. You're trying to bring your fist forward as far as you can and your heel backwards as far as you can, and then maintain that stability. Brace that core and breathe at the same time. 8 to 10 breaths, and then switch to the other side. Do that for 6 to 10 rounds. So those are the McGill Big 3. We have the modified crunch, we have the side plank, and we have the quadruped. Add that into your routine. It's a great warm-up. It's a great cool down. And especially if you're suffering from injury, it's a great thing to do to regain that stability in the core, pump fluid in and out of the injured area without overdoing it. So take care, enjoy.